Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. So we'll be having Bhagavad Gita class now. So I'll set up the around down behind so I can see your face. This. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you, Nidhamotri. That's perfect. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Sorry? No, I'm fine. I'm okay. Yeah, I'll be fine. Hare Krishna, everyone. So first of all, thank you for coming to the Bhagavad Gita evening class at 6 p.m. So today we will be reading from chapter 7, which is Knowledge of the Absolute, and we'll be covering verse 1. Before we start, it's a Vaishnava tradition to do a bit of kirtan. Obviously, I won't be as good as what you just saw, but I'll try my best. And please join me along. Thank you. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunj Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunj Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giri Bardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokul Nanda, Radha Gokul Nanda, Radha Gokul Nanda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Gokul Nanda, Radha Gokul Nanda, Radha Gokul Nanda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Gora Nitai, Gora Nitai, Gora Nitai, Jaya Gora Nitai. Jaya Gora Nitai, Gora Nitai, Gora Nitai, Jaya Gora Nitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Shri Shri Radha Gokul Nanda ki, Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Gauranitai ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki, Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai, Namacharya Shila Hridas Thakur ki, Gaur Premanande. So Hare Krishna everyone. Once again, very warm welcome to the evening class at Bhaktivedanta Mana. We'll be reading from chapter 7 verse 1. Now I can see a lot of you are my seniors and know much more than me. So I take your humble blessings, that I can speak something relevant, and also to the online viewers as well who are watching. We'll quickly recite this prayer before we start any class. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading from chapter 7, verse 1, text 1. If you have got Veda base on your phone, you can open it on the Veda base. You can write Veda base, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 1. So I would do the Sanskrit first, and then maybe you can also try attempting to read. My Sanskrit is not good either, but yeah, we'll try. And also one more thing before we start the class. This is going to be quite an open session. So it's not just me sitting here and talking about Bhagavad Gita. We'll make it open. We will read the verse and then we'll unpack it. And then, if you have any question, we can try to meditate on them. Okay, so Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Mayas. Yeah, you can say. Yeah. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Shakta Manapartha Yogam Yunjan Madashrayaha Asamshayam Samagramam Yathagnasya Shitachrinu Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Shakta Manapartha Yogam Yunjan Madashrayaha Ashamshayam Samagramam Yathagnasya Shitachrinu Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Shakta Manapartha Yogam Yunjan Madashrayaha Asamshayam Samagramam Gyashyashi Tachrinu. Does anybody would like to recite? Chapter 7, verse 1. Anyone else? Anita Mataji? Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Shakta Manapartha Yogam Yunjan Madashrayaha Ashamshayam Shamagramam Yathagnasya Shitachrinu Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Shakta Manapartha Yogam Yunjan Madashrayaha Ashamshayam Shamagramam Yathagnasya Shitachrinu. Anyone else? Just one last person? Okay. Okay, so we'll now read word to word. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, the Supreme Lord said, Mai to me, Asakta Manaha, mind attached, Partha, O son of Partha, Yogam, self-realization, Yunjan, practicing, Mat Ashrayaha, in consciousness of me, in bracket Krishna consciousness, Ashamshayam, without doubt, Samagram, completely, Mam, me, Yatha, how, Gnashyashi, you can know, Tat, that, Shnu, try to hear. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, now hear, O son of Pritha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. Beautiful. Purport. In this 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the nature of Krishna consciousness is fully described. Krishna is full in all opulences, and how he manifests such opulences is described herein. Also, 4 kinds of fortunate people who become attached to Krishna, and 4 kinds of unfortunate people who never take to Krishna are described in this chapter. In the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, the living entity has been described as non-material spirit soul capable of elevating himself to self-realization by different types of yoga. At the end of the 6th chapter, it has been clearly stated that the steady concentration of the mind upon Krishna, or in other words, Krishna consciousness, is the highest form of all yoga. By concentrating one's mind upon Krishna, one is able to know the absolute truth completely, but not otherwise. Impersonal Brahman Jyotir, or localized Paramatma realization, is not perfect knowledge of the absolute truth, because it's partial. Full and scientific knowledge is Krishna, and everything is revealed to the person in Krishna consciousness. In complete Krishna consciousness, one knows that Krishna is ultimate knowledge, beyond any doubts. Different types of yoga are only stepping stones on the path of Krishna consciousness. One who takes directly to Krishna consciousness automatically knows about Brahma Jyotir and Paramatma in full. By practice of Krishna consciousness yoga, one can know everything in full, namely the absolute truth, the living entities, the material nature, and their manifestations with paraphernalia. One should therefore begin yoga practice as directed in the last verse of the 6th chapter. Concentration of the mind upon Krishna, the Supreme, is made possible by prescribed devotional service in 9 different forms, of which Shravanam is the first and the most important. The Lord therefore says to Arjuna, Tachrinu, or hear from me. No one can be a great authority than Krishna, and therefore, by hearing from him, one receives the greatest opportunity to become a perfectly Krishna conscious person. One has therefore to learn from Krishna directly or from a pure devotee of Krishna, and not from a non-devotee upstart, puffed up with academic education. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, this process of understanding Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, is described in the 2nd chapter of the 1st canto as follows. Shrinvatam swakatha Krishna punya shravana kirtanaha hridiyantasto hi abhadrani vidhunauti shuhut satam nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati neshtiki tadarajastamo bhava kamalobha dayashaye cheta eter anaviddham stitam sattve prasidati evam prashanna manasho bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate vidyate hridaya grantis chindaniye sarva samsayah krishyante chashya karmani drishta evatmanishvare. To hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita is itself righteous activity. And for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as a best wishing friend and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him. In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge. As he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from the devotees, he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. By development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus material lust and avarice are diminished. When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness, becomes enlivened by devotional service, and understands the signs of God perfectly. Thus, Bhakti Yoga severs the hard knot of material affection and enables one to come at once to the stage of asamshayam samagram, understanding of the supreme absolute truth personality of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse 17 to verse 21. Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee in Krishna consciousness can one understand the science of Krishna. So this is one of the biggest purport, I guess. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitan Yena Tashme Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhuvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishbhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tirubhyasha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ramo Rama Ramo Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so this is a quite big verse actually. So what we'll do is we'll split it into two halves. Maybe what we'll do is we'll firstly discuss about the Bhagavad Gita. So mainly verse 6.47 and 7.1, and then we'll try to unpack a little bit from Srimad Bhagavatam as well. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 47, which was covered yesterday, the verse states, Yoginam api sarvesham madgatenantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamo mataha. And of all yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me, is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. This is my opinion. So this is what Krishna is saying to Arjuna, you know. And actually, if you look at chapter 7, you know, up to now, Krishna was asking a lot of questions, you know. In chapter 2, Arjuna is bewildered, and Arjuna is asking Krishna that, guide me, you know, I'm illusioned, please guide me. But here, in chapter 7, Krishna is telling himself, right? He's revealing himself the path of Bhakti Yoga to Arjuna. And actually, it's not to Arjuna only, it's to each of us, right? And it says, Yukta Tamo, right? There was a word, Yukta Tamo. What does that mean? The topmost yogi. So topmost yogi, and basically what is the topmost yogi? How we can become a bhakti yogi. That is the topmost yogi out of everything what Krishna has explained. Now, the problem is, how do we know Krishna? Right? So Krishna is telling me, okay, you follow the bhakti yoga and then you will know me. So what do you guys think? Like, how can we know about Krishna? How do we know about Krishna? How we can progress in Bhakti Yoga? Chanting, okay. Anyone else? Prasadam, okay. Good one. Shravanam, yes, Shravanam. Anything else? Yeah, so yes, association is a good one as well. Yeah. So basically we can, as you said, Shravanam, right? Hearing about him. But hearing from whom? I mean, we can hear from lot of different people. Yeah, go on, Prabhu, you're saying? Hearing from the devotees of the Lord. Yes. So we have to be very careful who we hear from, right? Because at the moment, like, I mean, you know, the world is advancing so much. There is so much material. If you Google Bhagavad Gita, there will be like hundreds of versions, you know. So we have to be very careful what we study, who we follow. Now, the next question will be like, okay, we say like, okay, read Bhagavad Gita as it is, right? We say read Bhagavad Gita as it is. But why? Like, why do we read Bhagavad Gita as it is? There are so many different versions of Bhagavad Gita. It's Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. Very nice. Anyone else? But if a new person comes, they would say like, I don't know Srila Prabhupada. Like, why Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita? He's a pure devotee. Excellent. Yes. Anything else? Yeah, so the Sanskrit verses are exactly the same, but then Prabhupada explains. And actually, Prabhupada has mentioned that it's not just commentary from one book, it is commentary from various books. So if you read Bhagavad Gita as it is, everything is covered, you know? Yeah. So, but anything else, like how is there, like these days people say like, okay, but that's theoretical knowledge, right? How do I know practically? If I can't see anyone, I won't, you know, if I don't see anyone, I would not say like, okay, you know what, I don't believe this person exists. Very, very nice. It is coming in a disciplic succession. So like there are a lot of bogus gurus out there these days. They become guru for like, actually I'm basically from Dehradun, close to Himalayas, you know. So when you like, in my childhood, I've seen so many people like walking in saffron, you know, and yeah, they would just go to Himalayas for 2 months. And then after that, they will do like all sorts of rubbish, you know. Yeah. So exactly what you said, it has to come in a disciplic succession, you know. And in this case, this disciplic succession is coming straight from Krishna down to Prabhupada, like that, you know. And actually, you'll be surprised that there's a place called as Badrika Ashram, which I'm sure Roshan has been recently. Even though Badrika Ashram does not belong to any ISKCON community, they still have a Guru Parampara. And actually, recently we went to Badrika Ashram, and I went before as well. And the priest was saying what Prabhupada could do, nobody else could do. You know, there are a lot of preachers. I mean, and we have to pay respect to all the gurus, you know, all the genuine gurus out there. But what Prabhupada did, nobody else could do. Yeah. So you're right. It has to come in disciplic succession. And also, last, it is, you can see it. It's making thousands of devotees. It's making people change their life completely. So you can see that practical exposure as well, right? There is theoretical exposure, but similarly there are practical. There is a practical exposure as well, where you can clearly see after reading Bhagavad Gita, it's changing people's life. You know, it's completely changing people's life. Like today we had a Think Gita retreat, so which is led by Keshav Swami, His Holiness Keshav Swami, and those people have got no idea who Krishna is. Like 90% of them. So what Maharaj does is Maharaj try to explain something called as like wisdom that breathes. So he takes like quotes from Bhagavad Gita and explains how to apply them in your personal life. And because those quotes are so relatable and is changing people's life, today around 300 people came to the manor who would not come to manor otherwise. Who would say like, no, you know, we don't believe in idol worship, we don't do this, we don't do that, we don't do chanting. So this is how powerful Gita is, you know. If we explain Gita in a systematic way, it can change people's life. Yeah. So that is also another sort of practical explanation of like why Bhagavad Gita as it is. Yeah. Okay. So now I heard Prabhupada saying this, that, you know, we should hear about Krishna from Krishna himself. So if I, for example, if I invite Mithul to my house and I'm cooking some dinner, I'm going to call him like, what do you like, right? You want to ask that information from the person himself. So Prabhupada says we should hear from Krishna himself. But then again, the question is, how do we hear from Krishna himself? Because we are not pure enough that we can communicate to Krishna. So how do we hear about Krishna from Krishna himself? Shri Shri Radha Gokul Nand ki jai, Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai, Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. Anyone would like to answer? Through the devotees. Yeah. Actually, we have already covered this. So through devotees, through Guru Parampara, I was just checking. Yeah, through Guru Parampara. Okay, right. So even Gajendra, you know, the elephant, when his feet was caught by a crocodile, even Gajendra says to the Lord, we can only know you when you explain us how to, like that. But actually, we cannot see Krishna by our material senses. That's the problem. And why we can't see Krishna by our material senses? Because we have 4 defects. And what are those 4 defects? We, as human beings, we commit mistakes, right? We all make mistakes. Is there anyone here who hasn't made mistakes? No, not even one. Who hasn't? Yeah, so we are human beings and we are meant to make mistakes, right? We are meant to commit mistakes. Now, again, the mistakes can be 2 types. Sometimes unintentional mistakes, which we can't do anything about, right? But sometimes we do intentional mistakes as well. We know that this is wrong, but we still do it, right? And that is a tendency of a human being. Then the second one is they can get easily illusioned, right? They can easily get illusioned. Actually, I don't know if sometimes you have noticed this, like, you know, sometimes you're trying to argue with someone and during the argument you realize like, oh my God, you know, I'm wrong. But then you still keep arguing. You know, so like we are on that platform that we can be easily illusioned. Then we have got the cheating propensity, you know, lying, cheating, all that sort of thing. And then we have got imperfect senses. So because we have got these 4 defects, we cannot see Krishna face to face. However, we have someone like Srila Prabhupada who had seen Krishna face to face. Actually, there's a story that once Prabhupada came to the temple room in the evening, late evening, and Prabhupada went in the front of the deities and he said to Pujari, like, Krishna looks so tired. And then priest said, like, yeah, because Krishna did not have rest today. Can you see that? Like how powerful Prabhupada was, that Prabhupada could literally see Krishna is tired, So we are not at that level where we can communicate to Krishna. We can have that, we can see if Krishna is tired or not, But by following a guru who has seen Krishna, we might be able to understand Krishna like that. So we cannot deliver the perfect knowledge, that's for sure. And you know what? In previous ages, people used to have powerful senses that they used to hear from someone, and then they will exactly repeat the same thing to someone else without any change. That was the purity of Satya Yuga, Dwapar Yuga. But now in Kali Yuga, we can't even remember what we have eaten yesterday. What to talk about, like remembering these scriptures, right? So why? Because the people in Kali Yuga are very degraded, and we have to only hear from the Lord. But obviously, as I said, like we are not at that level that we can hear from the Lord directly. So we take shelter of a guru like Srila Prabhupada, Okay, so in this verse, we would mainly hear like how we can know Krishna by hearing about him. And Prabhu already said Shravanam, right? Shravanam is something very, very important. Like hearing about Krishna, and not just hearing about Krishna, but from a devotee, or from a pure devotee. Now, pure devotee is like Srila Prabhupada, or we have like a lot of gurus there, like, there are so many gurus. Yes, they are pure devotee, but obviously most of us are still kind of trying to become a devotee, trying to purify ourselves. So yeah, as long as someone is devotee and they are repeating the words of Prabhupada, then yes, that will definitely make a change. Yeah. Now the question comes like, why can't we say, why have we got all these like 4 defects? Why we are under illusion, etc.? Because we are covered by someone called as Maya Devi, right? Actually, Maya Devi is also called as Krishna Dasi, servant maid of Krishna. Okay, it's like one of those things. Like, for example, if I move my hand here, the shadow will also move there, right? So wherever Krishna is, Maya is also there. Okay, so there are 3 different types of people who surrender to Krishna. Who are dedicated to Krishna. Like doesn't matter whatever their bodily state is, whatever discomfort they have, they will always remember Krishna. Like, for example, His Holiness Kadamkana Maharaj, during the last few days, or even last couple of years, a lot of people would not even know that Maharaj has got, health challenges. He was doing kirtan, he was doing everything. His consciousness was so pure. And I remember I think he sent out a message a week before, and that message was like so powerful, So that's what some people are like, completely surrendered to Krishna, like that. However, there are others. There's a second type of people who are not at all surrendered to Krishna. They don't believe in Krishna. They think like, we don't believe in this. We don't go to the temple. What's the point, we'll just enjoy and marry and that's it, The Prabhupada often says, actually condemns that humans should not be like animals. Like, animals and humans mate, defend, and what are the other 2? Eat, sleep, mate, and defend. And even animals do that. So what's the difference between us and animals? Right? The only difference is consciousness. Now, yes, animals do have some sort of consciousness, but humans have the best consciousness, out of all the species. Why? Because we have this ability to ask questions, and depending on, like sometimes some people do ask a lot of questions, but they don't apply that knowledge in their life. So there is no point asking questions, getting your answers, but not applying that knowledge in your life. So it's very important that when we hear from a sadhu, from a elevated soul, from Prabhupada, we need to make sure that we are applying that in our life. Of course, it'll be sometimes very difficult at the start. Like, for example, chanting. I remember my early days, and I used to say, one round of chanting, 8 minutes of my day? I mean, no, I can't do it. No. And then eventually it was like, okay, did one round, and it was like, oh, this is something very powerful. And actually, I remember a devotee said to me, do it for at least a month and you will see the difference. So I was like, okay, I'm just doing it. And also scientifically as well, they say if you do something for 21 days, then you are most likely to carry on, So did it, one round, then 2 rounds, and yeah, it works. At the start, it is a bit of challenge, but then yeah, it becomes easier and easier. And it's very, very relishing, very, very empowering, and you feel very satisfied from within. So yeah, so first type of people who surrender to Krishna, who are completely dedicated to Krishna. The second type of people are who do not believe in Krishna at all. And there are third type of people who are more surrendered to demigods, right? And actually, in a way, they are still worshipping Krishna. Because all the sacrifices, everything, you probably would have heard like in weddings, in, I don't know, maybe in birthdays, whenever you have like any fire sacrifice, they always take the name of Vishnu first. You probably would have noticed, right? So all the sacrifices are going to Vishnu anyway, going to Krishna anyway. But what is happening is it's indirect. If like, let's say, for example, if I have to pass something to Anita Mataji, and if I say like, oh, can you pass it so I'm passing it to you and then you're passing it to her, it's okay. She's getting what I wanted to pass. But instead of that, I can go directly and give it to her. It makes a difference like that. So people are into demigod worship, which is fine, but it'll take them a longer time to go back to Krishna like that. Yes, in this lifetime they would offer to demigods, and then maybe in next lifetime they might, become a devotee or something like that. So it'll be a very, very slow process like that. So it's best if we are doing something, we do it directly to Krishna. If they say when you offer something to Krishna, all the demigods or everyone, even your forefathers, everyone gets that. So for example, you're offering a flower to Krishna or food to Krishna. Everybody, even your forefathers, all the demigods, everybody will be happy. So it's best that whatever we have, we offer to Krishna. Okay? Now, the next thing is like, yes, that this is all good, but then we are stuck here. We are stuck in this material world, right? And how do we now come out? How do we get out of this material world? Actually, Prabhupada says initially we all were part and parcel of Krishna, but we had that little desire to enjoy this material world, and Krishna fulfills our desires. So he said, okay, that's fine. You can go to the material world, and therefore there is Maya Devi working along as well. Like sometimes you say like, oh, I planned this, but it didn't really work out like that. Why? Because Maya Devi is always chasing you, right? So in this chapter, there are 2 main things. So, first of all, hearing about Krishna's energies and how all these energies are subordinate to him, right? So, some yogis, they think that the goal of life is to detach from everything. They just want to detach. They don't want to do anything. They just want to detach. And they would just go to a secluded place and they will meditate for like, maybe, I don't know, maybe 10 hours a day or something like that. But how long? How long can you do that? Majority of the yogis who do this, who follow this path, they fail, they fall down, unfortunately. Why? Because you cannot detach like that. In the material world, you need, like, okay, let me give this example. Let's say, for example, you got iPhone 10, right? Now, if I come to you and I say like, oh, here's iPhone 11, you're like, oh, yeah, let's swap it, nice. So you always need something higher. So you can only get detached from something if you receive something higher. So Krishna consciousness is something, when you have Krishna consciousness, then you automatically get detached from the other things. Not saying that, oh, you have to move into the temple, etc. No, you don't need to worry about doing that. But bring Krishna in your life. Bring Bhagavad Gita in your life. Read a chapter of Bhagavad Gita or even a verse of Bhagavad Gita. Chant around, Listen from the elevated souls. Listen from the pure devotees like Prabhupada, And there are so many other pure devotees as well. So it's not at all practical to detach ourselves like that. We cannot just force ourselves to detach. And we have seen that many times people try to detach themselves for a few days and then they come back and they just do all the rubbish. So what's the point of detaching yourself for a few days, These days they say detox, you detox and then you do the toxification again. What's the point? So attachment is not necessarily a bad thing, and it's not condemned actually, but it all depends who are you attaching to. For example, attachment of Dhritarashtra to Duryodhana was it bad? It was, because it destroyed the whole Kauravas, right? Then Kaikeyi's attachment for son, Bharata, to for forcing Lord Ram to go to the exile, to the forest. Again, that attachment was not good, right? So these type of attachments should be given up, right? And they are condemned. But if you have the same sort of attachment for Krishna or saintly people, that will be purifying and elevating, wouldn't it? On Thursday, His Holiness Sachinand Maharaj was here, and the temple room was packed, and there was a Mataji with a little baby. She was sitting near the stairs and trying to listen to Guru Maharaj. Isn't that dedication? That is called as attachment. When you have attachment to holy name, and there might be other people who would be saying like, no, it's too early for us to go to the temple. I've got a little baby. I think the baby must be like, I don't know, maybe 1 year or 2 years, like that. And that is called attachment. When you have that attachment to the holy name, you would do anything, right? So whenever if you develop that attachment for Krishna or saintly people, then it'll be very purifying and very elevating for you. So Krishna himself is saying, Mai ashakta manaha, that you be attached to me in your mind. Now, because Krishna is very pure, therefore our attachment will be also very pure. When we attach to Krishna, we will also get purified eventually. Yeah. Now that attachment can be of any type. Different people connect to different things, different devotional services. Some people could be, managing the temple. Some people can be cleaning the toilets. Some people can be serving in the kitchen. So no service is big or small. As long as you're doing devotional service, every service is equal and important. Every service. So you can literally come to the temple and offer some flowers to Krishna. Or you can take Charanamrita, even that is considered as devotional service, right? Or you can make some garlands for Krishna. Or you can sing some kirtan for Krishna. Even they say when we drive to the temple, even our driving is considered as devotional service. That's how kind Krishna is, So it's a process. Sometimes like when you're downloading a software and it's so slow, it's like 1%, 2%, 3%, and you think that this is not going to happen. I'm not going to download it. But actually, if you come back in few hours, it says download it, like that. So sometimes when we are in this devotional, sometimes people say like, oh, I've been chanting from last 6 months, nothing is working. I don't know. I don't think it's working for me. Fine. Okay, slow down. You need to just carry on. And also sometimes what happens is we see like in 6 months time, we see like, oh my God, I'm not becoming a pure devotee. I don't have attachment for chanting or reading, etc. But also sometimes what we have to do is sometimes we have to stop and reflect and see how far we have come, like that. I was talking to a friend and they were saying like, oh, my chanting is not great and this and that, and I'm not really feeling a connection. And actually this person, within 8 months, he left meat. He became vegetarian. He left alcohol. So I'm like, yes, I understand that your chanting is not like and to be honest with you, chanting is a process, it takes many, many years. Even like many of our gurus, they are like so elevated. Even they said we have got a room for improvement for chanting, So chanting it can take a while. So I said to him like, don't think that your chanting is not the best, but also think like, if you compare yourself to last year, don't you feel better that you are now vegetarian? Don't you feel better that you have left alcohol? And it's like, yeah, I never thought it like that, So sometimes we have to stop and reflect how far we have come. Obviously, that should not mean that we should be comfortable like, oh, I've done plenty now, I don't need to do anything more. No, it's a process. We need to carry on, every day, bit by bit. We need to become a better person. We need to become a better version of ourselves. But what we need to also make sure is see how far we have come, like that. Yeah. Have any of you have been to Vrindavan? Can you raise your hand? Have you done the Vrindavan Parikrama? Yeah. So when you start with Vrindavan Parikrama, oh my God, can you imagine like 7 hours of walking? Oh God. And for the first half an hour, you're like, oh God, 6.5 hours to go. Oh gosh, now then you keep asking, I don't know if about you, but I'm very impatient. So I keep asking like, oh bhaiya, how many kilometers, And then he'll say another 15, and then you say another 12, and then another 10. And it's like, and actually, when you keep doing it, after a while, you're like, actually, it's not too bad. I'm halfway through, right? And when you are about to finish, you're like, actually, that was fairly easy. So the devotional process is also a bit like that. At the start, it might feel like, oh my God, I can't chant one round. Reading Bhagavad Gita, Prabhuji, I don't understand anything. Most of the people say, I don't understand a word. But it's okay. Even if we don't understand, we need to just keep going. We need to just keep going, keep reading. And also, like, there are a lot of different platforms like these days. For example, there is Think Gita, there is School of Bhakti who are doing different courses, So sometimes it's nice when you get a bit of gist or summary from someone who has read the Gita, not just read the Gita, but they have applied the Gita in their life, and you can see a transformation in their life, So sometimes you have to hear from them as well, like that. And that is one of the classes, that is one of the reason, in Manna, we have got like so many sessions and so many devotees, so many pure devotees come to Manna. We are very, very fortunate actually in that way, So many people come, and yes, so many Vaishnavas come, pure devotees come, and we get so many opportunity to associate with them, to learn from them, to hear from them, and that will transform our life. Now, actually, I've only covered half of my class, and it's 5 to 7. Do you have any questions? Does anyone has any questions? Prabhu, do you have any question?
Yes, you were saying earlier about, yes, it doesn't matter if we offer, flour or Uday Charanamrit or we are, cleaning the toilets. It's all the same. How exactly does the consciousness, play a part in that, making it all the same service?
Very good question, Prabhu. Prabhu, I think it's all about the matter of consciousness. Everything, it depends on consciousness, See, sometimes what happens is the consciousness is fine, the consciousness is good when good things happen to us. When something is good happening to me, I'm like, oh yeah, it's all good. But actually, when something bad happens, that's when you know how someone's consciousness is. So for example, let's say, I know a devotee friend, and she is very unwell. And I had a message from her the other day. And so please pray for her actually. She's in hospital at the moment, and today's class will be dedicated to her, even though I know we are nearly finished. And even though she had a lot of health challenges, she's still saying Krishna is very kind. She's like, if Krishna wasn't in my life, I wouldn't be here. So did you see, like, that's a matter of consciousness. Even though you're in a very difficult situation, outsiders will say like, oh, who is God? I'm going through so many material discomforts. But even in that condition, she's thanking Krishna, she's thanking Srila Prabhupada, she's thanking Guru. So it's all about consciousness. And you're right, sometimes you could be doing a very... You might be, let's say, I don't know, maybe doing some leadership in the temple. But if your consciousness is not right, so that's not going to help you develop that connection to Krishna. Some people might be cleaning the toilets, but their consciousness is pure and they have a strong connection with Krishna, like that. So it's all about the consciousness, and doesn't matter. That's why we have to, when you think like every service is for Krishna, can you imagine you are dealing with Krishna directly, then everything becomes nice, and that's how our mood should be. Like, doesn't matter, like cleaning anything and everything is good for Krishna, like that. And that's how we are going to, because what happens is, yes, when we do devotional service, when we come to the temple, it's all in mode of goodness. But when our consciousness will get purified, when we do things in a way where in a more purified way, then it's called as Saddha Sattva. Shuddha Sattva, which is pure goodness, like that. So it's all about the consciousness, and our consciousness is the one which takes us from goodness to pure goodness, like that. I don't know, Prabhu. I'm sure you know better than I do, but I don't know if that answers your question. Thank you. Okay, we have got 2 minutes now. Can I just quickly summarize? Sorry, I haven't even covered half of my class. I apologize. So, few things to take away. Only worship Krishna. Why shall we go through like the indirect path when we have got the direct path given by Srila Prabhupada, right? Follow Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is a pure devotee, We are not saying don't follow others, but like we know that Srila Prabhupada is a pure devotee. We have seen, the impact of Srila Prabhupada coming to the Western world and changing everything, right? Follow 4 regulative principles, which are no meat eating, no illicit sex, no intoxication, and no gambling. Think about it. If everybody follows these 4 principles, forget about the chanting, forget about other things, this world will be a divine place, right? And then on the top of that, Srila Prabhupada has recommended us to chant 16 rounds of japa every day. Now, don't think that, it's too much for me and 16. Just start from 1 round, like that. 1 round and 2 rounds, and you would see the transformation like that. And also, Prabhupada emphasized rendering service to Krishna. You can render service to Krishna in any way, like by offering a flower. If you can't come to the temple, you can even offer a flower to the picture of Krishna at home. Krishna is everywhere. Kripamaya Prabhu was saying, like in Kali Yuga, we have got this special discount. As long as you have a picture of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you could say Krishna, If you picture of Krishna, and if you have got a chanting beat, that's all you need. You can go back to Krishna, like that. And as Prabhu said, Shravanam and Kirtanam. Shravanam is hearing, and Kirtanam is taking Lord's name. It can be chanting. Can help you to connect to Krishna. And eventually, all the material desires will be vanquished. You don't have to do it forcefully, like, okay, I need to leave this, No, don't worry about whatever you have, because we carry the baggages from many, many lifetimes, right? It's not very easy to detach. It's okay. Just fine. Whatever you do, just add the holy name in your life. Rest, everything will go away. No problem. And Prabhupada often says, give this one life to Krishna. We have been wandering around. Human birth, you get after 8,432,000 species. After that, you get a human birth. It's such a rare opportunity to change our life, right? So Prabhupada said, just give this one life to Krishna, So yeah, again, Keshav Maharaj often says Bhagavad Gita it's a gift which you can open many times, right? So yeah, please do read Bhagavad Gita, chant, come to the temple, do some service, and eventually you will get attached to Krishna. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Hare.
Shiva Jayo Jayo Gora Chandere Arati Ko Sobha Shiva Jayo Jayo Gora Chandere Arati Ko Sobha शोभा जाह्नवी